Welcome back to Straight Facts on Friday. I'm joined by the Don Husam as Liverpool and Arsenal prepare to clash. Will Arsenal stop them? Will Liverpool get the job done? We're previewing that later on the show. Plus, we're going to get Sam's reaction to the claim that Mohamed Salah is finished. We'll be going through all of that. We're looking ahead at some of the other big games this weekend and talking about the potential return. I suppose it hasn't really gone away. No game balls were ever kicked, but the Super League is reportedly back. But Husam, how are you, mate? How you diddling? You well?
I'm good. Big up to the Terrace audience. Make sure you guys are liking. Make sure you guys are subscribing as well. Make sure you guys are here as well on the match reaction time as well tomorrow, because there's going to be so many games. There's no better place to be. I always reiterate that because I'm also a viewer of football content and I love watching the reactions here. So, yeah, big up for having me. There's a lot to talk about, and I can't wait, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I'm maintaining the standard. Also, KJ, we need a new intro. KJ, how many times I have to say this to KJ? KJ, we need a new intro. You know, I need to be one of the faces of this alongside Lee. Me and Lee need to be the face of the new intro. KJ, that's why I'm KJ out. Get their shit together, KJ. Let's do this, man.
He told me the other day that he was working on it, and clearly not. It hasn't come out yet. Yeah, chase him up. I want it before Christmas, KJ. Deadline, Christmas. We want that done. I wanted to start actually with some of the other games this weekend. Man United, West Ham. How does this one play out for you?
I mean, what I'm about to say is first of all, last week people blamed me for the result, like I'm on the football pitch. Hey, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. I don't believe in any bad luck or whatever I brought on Liverpool. Here's the thing with Manchester United. This is the prototypical Man United loss type game. You could just smell it. You could just smell it in the air. And I predict Man United to lose this weekend. I'm looking at this game right here, West Ham away. It's not at Old Trafford, which maybe would have given you and probably even Man United fans a lot more confidence if it was at Old Trafford. But it's away from home. Your record away from home this season hasn't been the best. So most of your wins, most of your good results have come at home. West Ham have been a club that's this season a little bit up and down, to be honest with you. Like sometimes you see a couple of results, you're like, whoa, like West Ham are cooking. And then you see another result, you're like, whoa, West Ham are getting cooked here. Like it's just kind of all over the place for them. I don't think the Carabao Cup quarterfinal, you know, the loss they had at Anfield is really a measuring stick for them. It's really not, because they rested 3-4 of the players. Ward-Prowse was on the bench. Paquetá was on the bench. There was another third guy as well who was on the bench who usually starts for them. I forgot who. Zuma, who's their captain. So, you know, whether you rate him or not, he is their captain. He's their leader of their defense. So he is someone that's kind of active for them. So I think Man United now, with Bruno back, it's all about Ten Hag's stubbornness. Now, I'm not saying you should bench Bruno just because you got a draw away at the at Anfield. Sorry, I'm just saying you should be able to essentially put on a more balanced midfield, because you saw what a balanced midfield does for you. I think Mainoo, McTominay, Bruno, or Amrabat, McTominay, Bruno has no balance. This is where your problem lies. It's not even a F Bruno thing for me. You know, for many Man United fans, it's like, oh, just bench Bruno and we'll win. I don't think that's the case. I just think it's about the balance. So if you play Amrabat, Mainoo, and Bruno, that gives you a bigger chance just in terms of balance. We're just talking X's and Y's of football here, you know. I see the stuff as well happening with Jadon Sancho. Apparently, he's going to get booted off as well this January. You know, I know this has nothing to do with the West Ham game, but I think that's actually a positive thing. Even when they asked me about it yesterday, I was like, I don't even think that's a negative, to be honest with you. I think that's a positive. But yeah, I think you do lose this game though, just based on the fact that you're playing away from home. West Ham are just off of a loss. David Moyes always like to get results against you as well. So yeah, I'm gonna go for West Ham win.
I understand people picking a West Ham win, because I on my golden goals predictions, I've said West Ham to nick it 2-1, because if we play with the same Now, people would take this out of context, but the same approach as we did against Liverpool, and then we're compact and hard to break down, and we kind of counter-attack and we transition, we'll beat them. Because against West Ham, we'll win the ball back more regularly, and we'll be able to pass through them easier than passing through Liverpool at Anfield. So if we're resolute, hard to break down, I think we have the quality to beat them. But I just have a feeling we're going to go back to using a single 6, 2 marauding 8s, an imbalance, and be absolutely caught and ripped through on the counter-attack and ripped from limb to limb. I hope the manager's seen the last 2 games and gone, do you know what? This element works really well, so we'll continue with this, at least until we maybe get a few additional players in January and some individuals back from injury. We still have 11 players missing for this game through injury and suspension. So that's what worries me, is that the manager will go in with an approach that we know will fail, because even when we've won games this year, we've purely won because we have better players. System-wise, we've been pretty much outsmarted in every single game. And I think one of the reasons we were able to stop you is I don't think anybody expected Man United to be that compact and that hard to break down, because we haven't done it at any stage this season at all, barring at times against Bayern Munich. So I hope we're a little bit more resolute. I hope we have a double pivot with Bruno in the 10, just as you've mentioned. Put Bruno back to what he's good at doing in that 10 role. Stick a solid double pivot behind him. Get some pace on the wings and start trying to get those balls into dangerous areas for Rasmus Højlund so he can start scoring. Because we're just not... I was looking at these statistics. We attempt to pass the ball to Højlund on average 3 times less per game than any other member of the top 6. 3 times less per game. And we expect him to do something. It's absolutely horrendous what goes on in that regard. So if we play with this system that we used against Liverpool, but of course attack more because we're better than West Ham player for player, we win. I just don't trust Ten Hag to do that. Therefore, at this moment in time, I'm predicting a 2-1 win for West Ham. I don't think they'll bash us up, but I do think they'll just have enough. You know, we'll be caught on the counter attack again, and with the likes of Kudus, with the likes of Jared Bowen, they can hurt you on that counter attack. So yeah, I'm a little worried about this game, especially as it's just before Christmas. But look, our season's pretty much done already until we get the new ownership regime in, until something dramatic changes at the club, because it's crazy that even to a degree with the manager, you don't really want the board getting involved with the manager who he picks and stuff. But the fact that the board haven't come in and said, yo, you drop this style of play, it's not working. You know, if KJ had a tactic of growing the football terrace and it was taking us backwards as a business, I wouldn't just let him do it because I gave him the job. I'd be like, whoa, I'm pulling back some of that power and saying, no, something has got to change. It's horrendous. So, but you also don't think that Chelsea are going to win on Christmas Eve, do you? What do you think is going to happen there, and why?
The spirit of the wolf is telling me the same stuff it told me before the game against Spurs. I was one of the few people on this entire platform that predicted a Wolves 2-1 win, and it manifested itself. The spirit of the wolf is just talking to me again. It's just telling me, listen, Chelsea, this is what Chelsea do. Chelsea won 3 games in a row. So it's time for them to just get dragged back into the shit again. This is just what Chelsea Football Club do. This is what Chelsea Football Club are about. You know, people keep trolling me. Haha, what a DM for you. My brother, you are 10th. You spent 1 billion. You know, I just want to say something quickly before I even speak on the Wolves game, because you know what it is? Chelsea Football Club are the biggest embarrassment in modern football in the last 30 years. Spent 1 billion, end up in 10th place. Absolutely by far the biggest embarrassment in modern football as things stand. You can sit up here and you can laugh about Arsenal bottling a league, or Liverpool bottling a league, or City bottling the Champions League all these years, Man United spending money and not winning stuff, blah, blah, blah. But Chelsea Football Club, what they are doing currently as things stand, spending 1 billion essentially in a year and a half, 2 years, and ending up in the position that they're in right here, right now, 10th place, not getting as much criticism as any of the top 3 clubs would have gotten by the media is insane. And the reality is, if my club was 10th after spending 1 billion, Terry would have my head on a stick every single week. You know, if it was Arsenal, then the Arsenal fans would get cooked. If it was United, then Terry, you know, would get a headache from the shit he had to take on the channel. So the fact that Chelsea Football Club spent 1 billion, but we baby them. We sit up here and go like, oh, Chelsea have signed 20 youngsters. You know, I want to call out a fraud. Footy Judge Mo, massive fraud. He convinced us all 2 months ago that Chelsea are on a better trajectory than Man United. And we all bought it because we all saw the youngsters, the potential, the blah, blah, blah. And now I'm thinking about it. So Chelsea's plan is essentially, let's win the league 3 years from now. Chelsea's plan is let's win the league. What a double-digit league titles for you. Chelsea's plan is let's win.
Big up Lewis, by the way. Big up yourself, brother. Hope you're well, mate.
Big up, Lewis. Chelsea's plan is essentially let's win the league 3-4 years from now. I'm looking at this Chelsea squad and I'm questioning, okay, let me be objective here, no agendas. Who out of this current crop of Chelsea players is going to survive 3 years from now? Let's assume in a hypothetical world, 3 years from now, Chelsea are lifting the Premier League title. Which of the current players we're currently watching will be part of that team? Who? Caicedo, Enzo, you could say Leslie, maybe an Nkunku, Badiashile, I think is a good defender. Other than that, the rest all have a lot to prove. The rest have all let Chelsea play down multiple times. And this is actually a thing I always tell Chelsea fans that keep telling me, oh, poch out, poch out, poch out. I feel like they just don't understand. Me and Terry, everything I said about Chelsea this summer has come into fruition. That's the one club I've been 100% spot on last summer. I told you this is the worst fan base, the absolute worst fan base to require this patient shit from. Chelsea fans now want Jose Mourinho. Like Jose Mourinho is going to work with these 13-year-olds. Like he ain't going to work with them. The average age of your squad is about 15 years old. Do you think Jose Mourinho is going to come up here and do it? He can't do this. Jose Mourinho would buy 3, 4, 32-year-olds as soon as he steps foot into Chelsea, given the current context of the squad. So I think 5, 6 years from now, 3, 4, 5 years from now, the players that you're watching right now for Chelsea, I'd say generously, maybe 6 or 7 would be there in the team that quote unquote wins the league hypothetically, and you know who's to blame? It's not Pochettino, it's not even the players, it's Todd Bowley. Because respectfully, I'm saying this respectfully. I know some people always mock Americans. Staffy sometimes gets some of it. I'm not mocking Americans. I'm mocking the American ownership method being applied in Premier League football because it doesn't work. Because the two sports are completely different. There is no draft. There is no trade. All the things are different in this league. You have to buy. You have to become better. You have to hire the right people. I look at Todd Bowley, and Todd Bowley essentially said, let me skip the process and just go straight up directly to the next step and just try win stuff, which doesn't happen in football. So, people have mocked Liverpool for the whole Caicedo thing all summer long. Caicedo cannot sleep for the last 3 months. Every night he cannot sleep. He's punching his pillow every night, going like, I should have went to Liverpool, as I said all summer long. So yeah, that's and Wolves are winning. Wolves are winning, mark my words.
When you say you can't blame Poch, what about playing Levi Colwill as a left back? What about continuing to play Enzo in this number 10 role as an example? He's consistently played players out of position on a regular basis, which doesn't help them, doesn't help with cohesion. Surely that element isn't down to Todd Bowley. Surely that is, and not even the players and experience. Surely that is a managerial and coaching issue from Poch.
Listen, Poch is not flawless. Poch has made mistakes. I admit that. Even watching the Chelsea game as an example, just the last Chelsea game that we watched against Newcastle, just as a quick example, he played Disasi right back as an example, unnecessarily. You have, what's his name? You've got, who's the guy? Colwill, you just mentioned, playing left back,
Yeah.
My thing is, like, with the stuff not working at Chelsea fans would have asked for him to try change stuff. He has tried change stuff. I think when you look at Chelsea statistically, creatively, very good, creating so many chances, on the ball, very good, in possession, very good, a very good pressing team. Their major problem is putting the ball in the back of the net and in some games keeping clean sheet because they lose their heads. Now, the way you get that is you get experienced players. Now, people might mock the idea, but hear me out. Chelsea need a James Milner in this team. They need 3, 4 James Milners. They need players who aren't necessarily the best players on the pitch, who aren't necessarily amazing, players who are just generalists, who just do everything okay level, who could help guide these youngsters to the finish line in said games, in said seasons, and actually just help get them there. Because I think Pochettino, if you give him the choice this January window, as much as Pochettino likes to develop players and stuff, I think if you give him right now, would you rather sign another 3 20-year-olds or 3 30-year-olds? He's choosing the 3 30-year-olds. That's the thing. So I'm looking at Chelsea right now. As much as Poch is to blame for mistakes, and I know the people who are Poch out, like Lewis in the chat, because he is Poch out. I will give you a list of mistakes Poch has done. Oh, playing Cucurella right back and blah blah blah. Yeah, but when it worked, Poch was a genius. When Cucurella went right back and it worked. So look, Poch is to blame for certain things. But Pep Guardiola would not succeed with Chelsea. Jurgen Klopp would not succeed with Chelsea as things stand. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that.
Another question on Chelsea for you.
Yes.
During conversations on the terrace in the last week, of course, the young players are being defended. They're young, they're inexperienced. Is there a case, in your opinion, that maybe the likes of Caicedo, maybe the likes of Enzo are just not as good as everybody thought they were? Do you think there's a possibility that maybe, just maybe, they're not worth this £100 million that was spent on them? Or is this a case of they bought too many kids at once? Because there's a lot of differential opinions on that. I'd love to hear your take on it.
I think with your club is involved in this. Chelsea and Man United have ruined the transfer market in the Premier League last 5-6 years with the amount of idiotic decisions that they've made. And I'm sorry to drag your club into this, but your club is involved. You know, like as an example, if someone wants to buy Ivan Toney this January, Brentford are going to go like, wait a minute, Højlund just went for 72 million. It's all started with the Pogba Neymar transfer window.
You spent 70 million on noodles, bruv.
Yes, but Darwin Núñez was the top goal scorer of the Portuguese league. We're talking before he came, not how he's playing now.
Right, okay.
That's what we're talking
the Liverpool,
about. So
no accountability, just Man United and Chelsea.
There you are. There you are. So do you buy a player based on how he's playing for your club or the previous club? The previous club. He was the top goal scorer.
I'm just ascertaining. So it's only Man United and Chelsea who have overpaid for players. Only us.
No, not only. Volume. Consistently overpaying for players. No, I'm not talking about only. Man City, Liverpool, every club, Arsenal have overpaid for players. Havertz, they've overpaid for him. It's not a difficult example to give.
That must be Man United's fault, though. Yeah, we did that.
No, it's Man United and Chelsea's fault for doing the market. Anyway, Enzo and Caicedo, and the players that they bought for the hundreds of millions of British pounds. You see why personal accountability matters for certain players. Caicedo isn't worth that much. Enzo isn't worth that much. The reason why Chelsea paid that much for him, we all know this, is because Real Madrid, Barcelona, the bigger clubs were coming in for him in the summer. So they had to get him in January quickly. Only way to secure him in January, release clause, 100 million, player wants to leave. Okay, let's do this. So I'm looking at the transfers right now. Caicedo has not really been playing well this season. Enzo is like hit and miss. Sometimes he does some good stuff on the pitch. You're like, okay, at least I see the potential there. Mudryk, almost 100 million done. Fuck all. That game away at Old Trafford, if that's not the perfect indicator that the guy has no brains, essentially, to play the sport, then I don't know what the indicator is. Enzo, for me, and Caicedo, despite them underperforming this season, I think 3 years from now, if Chelsea were to win the Premier League, they will be a part of said team. They will be a part of the Chelsea team that wins the English Premier League. I don't think Mudryk will be a part of the winning team. I don't think, certain players like Nicholas Jackson, like others, would be a part of the winning team. Maybe Disasi, not necessarily. They clearly need a goalkeeper. They clearly need a striker. Enzo Fernandez, for me, has gotten, and this is where I will defend him a little bit. Enzo Fernandez has gotten a little bit extra criticism this season. Every time we watch Chelsea, it's people just pile on Enzo, even though it's not always Enzo's fault, despite him playing like shit sometimes and getting over defended. Because you know what it is in football conversations? This is what happens in football conversations. Because Chelsea fans pull so much the other way, nothing is ever Enzo's fault. It's not his accountability. He's our best player on the pitch. He's unbelievable. He's insane. He's great. He's better than Declan Rice. Now everyone has to pull in the other way. The truth is in the middle. The truth is Enzo Fernandez had some good games this season, has some shit games this season. Caicedo, in my opinion, has been worse than Enzo this season. Honest opinion, I think he's been worse than Enzo this season. I think he's actually had a very bad start to the season for his time. And this is where it comes back to the previous segment where I always ask people, do you want me to treat Chelsea like a big club, or do you want me to treat Chelsea like an Aston Villa or like a West Ham or like a Bournemouth? Because if I'm holding Chelsea to a standard, And by the way, the word standard has now become a buzzword, which I will speak about when we get to further conversations. But if I'm holding Chelsea to a standard of a big club, then I've got to hold the £100 million signings accountable. Same way you guys roast Nunez every week. Same way we roast Højlund every week. Same way we roast any 60 million, 70 million, 80 million, 90 million pound players who are playing like shit. When you get signed for that much money, you better be a Virgil van Dijk, you better be a Declan Rice, you better be an Alisson Becker, you better be an Erling Haaland, you better be a Ruben Diaz, you better be a Rodri, players who perform. That's how you get. Because let me ask you a question. When the last time someone mentioned Declan Rice's price tag? It's only 5 million less than Caicedo.
No, I totally agree. I think the problem with Chelsea is this. I do think Caicedo and Enzo are as good as the hype suggested. I do think they have that ability. The problem they have is they've gone into a dysfunctional club that's trying to fix itself with too many young players at the beginning of a project. If you put Haaland at Man United right now, he'd be struggling similarly to Højlund because the chances are not being created for him. The abundance of clear-cut chances is not being created for him. I still think he'd score more than Rasmus Højlund because he's a better finisher, but he'd be nowhere near the level of goals he scored in the last 18 months in England, as an example. Right now, funnily enough, at Chelsea, they actually could do with a really good goal scorer. But when you have youngsters who are your stars, your youngsters who are your spine, youngsters who are meant to carry you forward, it's a very hard task. Now, Trent Alexander-Arnold was able to thrive because there was so much quality around him. And a lot of it was older than he was. If Trent would have come in at 18, it would have been like, you're here to save us, mate. It's crazy. It's why I say to Man United fans, support Mainoo. Back Mainoo. But don't start pinning our hopes that he is the savior of the club. He's 18. He shouldn't be saving anything. We should be helping him develop. And I think that's the problem Chelsea have got. These young players are being hung out to dry. If they don't address it quickly, they'll ruin these players. And someone said it earlier that Man United have got a habit of overpaying for average players. We don't. That is how it appears. We have a habit of buying players that some are average. There's no doubt we've made mistakes. The same as City spent a lot of money in the last couple of years on the Mateus Nunez's and the Calvin Phillips, and they're not good enough. But Man United systematically ruin players. They come in with a lot of hype, a lot of expectation. A lot of people saying, wow, look how good they were at their previous club. And they either fade instantly or they start well and they fade and they fall away. And Chelsea are at risk of doing it to these young players if they don't address their mistakes quickly. And that will be the most painful element, is you could have players like Caicedo, Enzo, etc., who never ever fulfill their potential because a 2 or 3 year stint at Chelsea, the pressures and the memes and the banter and the criticism that comes with it, sometimes you never recover from that pressure because every time you go to a new club or you move on or a new manager comes in, you're always trying too hard to impress or catch up with lost time, and it becomes a problem. And that's what Chelsea have to look at, is bringing in those players who are 25, 26, 27 that you do pin your hopes on, that are a little bit older, a little bit more developed, that can take that pressure. And then your youngsters, there's got to be expectations against these young players, but not the level that people throw at them. Every now and then
the price tag, it matters though. This is the thing. Why do we act like price tag doesn't matter? Price tag matters.
Okay. Of course, a price tag.
If you're a 115 million pound player, you need to be a difference maker. Simple.
No, you don't.
The reason why no one mentions
Declan Rice's
price tag is because he's a difference maker. Has Caicedo been a difference maker?
No, but
no.
Rice
Has been a difference maker? No.
Again, let me interject. Rice is a different matter. Rice is older. Okay, so him being older, being more experienced, I expect him to be a difference maker week in, week out. I don't expect 18, 19, 20-year-olds to do it, irrespective of their money. Every now and then, there's an anomaly. Every now and then, there's an Mbappe. Cristiano Ronaldo at 18, 19, 20, 21 years old wasn't a consistent difference maker for Sporting Lisbon or Manchester United or Portugal. He was a good player that scored goals and created, but he was young and he was learning. Most young players still need to be nurtured. Young players, though, top young players with hype have always been expensive. Rooney cost nearly £30 million 20 years ago. That's the equivalent of over £200 million now. When he came in, he had Ruud van Nistelrooy, Gary Neville, Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs, elder statesmen to help support him. Young top players have always cost a lot of money. Just there's a lot more money in football now, so everyone's a 70, 80, 90 million pound player. Football hasn't changed, though, at all, in the sense that if you sign 5 18-year-olds, 6 18-year-olds, 4 or 5 20-year-olds, and a couple of 21-year-olds, the likelihood that even just one of them is able to play consistently for 90% of the game, 90% of the season is ridiculous, because most young players don't do that. They are as rare as rocking horse shit. Declan Rice, 5, 6, 7 years ago, could not do what he's doing at Arsenal because he was younger. So I get your point that money comes with expectations, but Chelsea Football Club are hanging these young players out to dry because they have nobody to orchestrate them, nobody to lead them, nobody to help galvanize them, or they don't have enough of those type of players.
Whose fault is that then?
That's the club, the way it's been run. There's no doubt about
Todd
it.
That's why I said he's the main culprit.
The players, I don't think we can be signing 18, 19, 20-year-olds and go, well, because you cost £80 million, you have to be consistent week in, week out. Last year, a commentator, when watching Man United, said, Garnacho, by the way, at this point, had only started 4 games, and said, well, now that he's starting for Man United, he's got to start scoring week in, week out. I thought, I've never heard that labeled against an 18-year-old in my life. But for some reason, we're doing it in a modern day game, and I don't necessarily think that's correct. So I think they're talented players. The club needs to buy experienced men for them to learn from. Otherwise, they're going to burn them, brother. And how do I know this? Man United have burnt so many players in the past because we just haven't had the right environment or the right system or the right squads to nurture them. And that's why we've wasted so much money. It's painful. I mean,
Caicedo said he looked up to Kante. What do Chelsea do the summer they buy Caicedo? They sell Kante. Now, Kante and Jorginho, of course, have regressed. Let's all cut the crap here. Of course, they've regressed. Of course, they're not as amazing as they were the year that Chelsea won the Champions League. We know this. But they still would have been pivotal, experienced pieces in this team had they been here. If Chelsea want to do anything this season, they need to buy 3 30-year-olds this January. They need to buy experienced Premier League veterans who have been there, done that, even if they aren't amazing, even if they're average, even if they can just do an average Premier League role. This is what they need. They need 3 players like that. And this is my thing now, because this goes back what I said at the start of the segment. This is then Todd Bowley's fault. This is why he's the biggest culprit.
I agree.
So let's say they sack Poch because Chelsea fans want Poch out. Okay, Pochettino sacked tomorrow. Number 1 question, of course, the prototypical question, who would they bring him? Number 2, does he fix it? Number 3, are we just hitting the reset button on a project that's already failed? In essence, has it not failed?
I don't think it's a reset button. I think it's an adaptation and a slight change. But viewers, would love to get your thoughts, would love to get your feelings on this in the comments section below. And you're going with a Wolves win on Christmas Eve. Viewers, yes. Give us your predictions below. Before we move on to the big game this weekend, I wanted to get your opinion on the potential return of the Super League. My understanding is you're not dead set against it. You think it might be quite a good thing. Talk to us.
3 years ago, when I first started doing content, 2021 is when I first started doing content. 2 weeks into when I first started my channel, the whole Super League stuff happened. And you heard Gary Neville's passionate speech. I still remember the Liverpool Leeds game away from home. It felt so weird. That game, I've never felt weirder watching a game of football than Liverpool Leeds away from home, because it felt like us against the institution type thing. It just felt so weird. And now, fast forward 3 years later, looking at next season's Champions League format, UEFA essentially put out their own version of a Super League. This is where I'm like, okay, so you're basically telling me there's going to be 32 teams, there's going to be playoffs, there's going to be 4 pots, we're all in one massive table thing where it's going to be 1 to 8 who qualify, and then 8 to I don't know who play each other in playoffs and all that shit. Sorry, it's actually 1 to 16 who qualify, I think. Yeah, is it? Round of 32, I think. We're going to have 2 extra games. I might be wrong. So this new Champions League format. And the 5th position, depending on the coefficient, qualifies if you know they're a heritage club or something. So I'm looking at the Super League. In theory, ticket prices are capped at £20. It's going to be free TV all over the world. Our football clubs are going to make so much more money. In theory, I'm saying, the Super League doesn't sound like that much of a bad idea. The reason why it doesn't sound like that much of a bad idea is everyone's going to be able to watch it for free around the world. The ticket prices are going to be affordable for any human being on earth. £20 is going to be the cap for it. The only way the clubs make money is through adverts, which will help the clubs make money. The only thing that I question of the Super League is the fact that the people who run the Super League are the same people competing in the Super League. This is maybe where there might be a little bit of a conflict of interest, where it's like, the board of the Super League is going to be Florentino Perez, John W. Henry, Avram Glazer, and you're sat there going like, okay, but we're competing against each other here. So are we really doing what's best for our teams, or are we like, what's happening here type thing?
So listen, I'm like this with the Super League. When it first got announced, I was horrified. Then you have to start looking at it from a point of view of, would I watch it? So the first thing is, would you watch it? And as much as people don't like it,
hell yeah.
Am I going to watch it? The answer is probably yes, right? So I don't want to be a hypocrite and say it's a disgrace and it'll ruin football. And what channel is it on? Right, I'll subscribe. Right, I don't want to be that guy. But it has to be right. So I'm not adverse to something replacing the Champions League. And I say that because people complained about the new format of the Champions League replacing the European Cup. People complained and said football would die when the Premier League was announced. They said it would kill football, in terms of replacing the old Division 1. And that hasn't happened. Football has gone from strength to strength. There's always problems. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's gone from strength to strength. So I'm not dead set against it. But for me, there are some question marks. They say, for instance, free to watch. For how long? DAZN tried this in boxing, and they said it'll be like a monthly subscription, but there'll be no pay-per-views. They now do pay-per-views because it didn't work. How long until they say, right, we've tried that, it's free. But if you want to go ad-free, it's £25 a month or something. I just get this feeling that they could end up throwing something like that in the mix. There has to be jeopardy. It has to be like football. If it's a league, it needs to be like leagues are now. Anyone can get promoted. Anybody can get relegated. The money that's in it, I still think they have to take care of the pyramid of football in any said country. We have to make sure that the smaller clubs don't fall away, because they have to have the ability to aim for that. Does that make sense? If you're a team right now in League One, you have to have, there are League One and League Two teams in England who were Premier League teams, some 5, some 10, some 15 years ago. Some of them have got really big fan bases. Like Coventry are relatively bigger than a lot of the clubs in the Prem. They've got to get the opportunity to get back to this level. So I'm a bit like you. I'm not dead set against it. I just need to see what it is they're saying. I don't want anything that's too Americanized. So there's going to be 20 teams, and these 20 teams are in it forever, and you can't fall out of it. For me, that's a no-no. There's no point European football copying what American sports do. As big as the NFL is, as big as the NBA are, they pale into insignificance, in my opinion, compared to football. They pale into insignificance. Even if you like them more, they're just not bigger overall. Check the Super Bowl numbers versus sort of Champions League final numbers around the world, and it's night and day. As big as the Super Bowl is, by the way, and it's a brilliant sport. But so I don't want us to copy something that does less than us. But equally, again, I've seen all the clubs come out. Man United first, and I've City have done it. I'm not sure if any of the other Premier League clubs have yet. I think Spurs may have done. They've all said they're not up for it. I don't believe them. They said, and you look at the way they word it, and it's like, we stand with UEFA. What's going to eventually happen is they're going to come together. That eventually there'll be an agreement where a few big people at the top of UEFA will get their palms greased. They'll get some money, and UEFA will be the kind of governing body of it. But the Super League people will manage it. The money will be spread out a little bit. It's crazy. The one thing I do like about it, again, in theory, is, I've said it for a while now, with all the TV money that comes in, they should essentially make going to games free. They could have, I know it's worth a lot of money, match day revenue, but they could essentially, in football, with the next lot of TV deals, go, right, what do all the Premier League clubs earn per month in terms of income? Let's just say it's like £1 billion. Right, we're going to get an additional $1 billion in TV money, give that to the clubs, but that is to make sure that season ticket out. You could start off by saying anyone who's had a season ticket for more than 10 years, you now get it for free every year. You could actually afford to do that. So I like the idea of them saying games are going to only be £20. It's going to be free to watch on television, because they're essentially taking all the money from the sponsors and they're making it better for the viewers. But it's about sticking to that and not sort of doing that. I don't know if you had this in Jordan. As kids in England, you used to get these adverts, and it would say there'd be a magazine that comes out, and it might be you build like a rocket ship, and every week it's a magazine about rockets and space and stuff, but every week a section of the rocket comes and you build this model, and the first week was always $1.99, and then in the bottom corner it's in very small writing, all other issues of the magazine after that are like $9.99 a month. So you get the first one at $1.99. Suddenly you got to tell your dad, actually, it's £10 a week now, Dad. And it's like, what? £10 a week? I don't want there to be anything hidden with it. If they're going to do it this way, it has to be clear and transparent and honest. In terms of it being a tournament, listen, I'm not set against it. As long as it doesn't, I want there to be domestic football as well. As long as there's domestic football and European football, I'm kind of up for it. I'm not saying I'm not dead set against it. And equally, if Man United and Liverpool and Chelsea and City and Chelsea join, I'll be honest, I'll do match reactions. And I can't sit here saying it's a scumbag move and then start doing match reaction for it. So I'm not going to sit here and take the moral high ground, virtue signal, and say how terrible this is. I'm not saying I agree with it yet. I haven't seen the plan. But then sit there and go, yeah, it's rubbish, but I'm still going to do content about it. I know I'm going to do content about it if it happens and the English teams are in it. The English teams don't join, then I won't. But the English teams are in it. I'm doing content on it. So I'm just not going to sit here early doors, slag it off, and then start making match reactions to it. I'm not going to do it. I'm never, ever, ever going to do it. Never.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like, if the Super League thing does happen, it will be watched by all of us because essentially you're going to get good games every week. It's going to be the best of the best against the best of the best. So it's always going to be, the best teams playing each other. Now, the one thing I will say is when it comes to UEFA, the reason why so many of us have probably more accepted this idea a little bit more and a bit more leaning towards it than we were 2 years ago is what UEFA is doing. Is what, we're seeing with all these international breaks, how many players are getting injured. Is, the Nations League coming up. And I still remember when it first came out, it's only 2 games, it's just a semi and a final. And now it's a quarter and a semi and a final. And then it's going to be a round of 16 and a quarter and a semi and a final. And then it's going to be 4, 5, 6 extra games for these players. I think the one thing that people are not taking into account with all these UEFA decisions is always the players. The players are human beings, despite them being paid a lot of money. I understand they're footballers. There are many people, many men who built this society, like construction workers, like people who do all those jobs, of course, who would love to play football. But we're saying now from a human being perspective, from a physical perspective, the amount of extra football you're going to have to play. A World Cup now is going to be hosted once every 2 years as well. So it's going to be like if those ideas start getting implemented, then the players as well from a physical perspective are just going to get screwed, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, at the end of the day, this is both parties not doing it for the fans. And listen, this is why Sam's skeptical. That's why me and Husam are both the same thing. In theory, it's good. Let's wait and see what it actually says. Twisted here says, Terry support football, not capitalism. But did you hear what I said? I'm not against capitalism. I worked in banking for over 15 years and I work on YouTube. You're watching YouTube. To watch YouTube or to participate in YouTube and then decide I don't like capitalism is crazy. Does it mean I like how everybody within capitalism behaves? No, that's a different conversation. And equally, like I said, there has to be a support mechanism for the pyramid of the game. Now, if there isn't, and it's just, we're okay, Jack, and they pull the ladder and it ruins it, I won't be supportive of it. So I've already said what you're claiming here. A few people saying that you'd be a sellout to cover it. Well, I don't view it as being a sellout because I'm not saying I'm against it and then suddenly being offered money to then go and do it. I may be against it depending on the proposal, but my job is I follow the football matches and the paths of the traditional top 6 Premier League teams. So if you wait for CCs to have a European competition and now all the Premier League teams are in the Super League, I'm going to cover how those teams doing it. It's as simple as that. If, for instance, though, Liverpool join the Super League, but all the other major clubs stay in the Champions League, I'd cover the Champions League and I would say no to the Super League at that point. But that's just because I'd have to choose one to follow because they'd probably both be on at exactly the same time. So, yeah, I don't see it as in that way. However, it's very hard to give an opinion as to whether I agree with it or not until we see the new proposal. And, yeah, that's been my take on it for a while now. When it first came out, I was angry. And then I was sitting on streams and I was like, am I going to do content on it? The answer was yes. So I was straight away, I thought, I've got to stop kicking off about something that I'm going to, it's like all the people that were angry that the World Cup was in Qatar. The only people that had that opinion that I respected, the ones who didn't watch it and didn't go. Because at least they've stood by what they think, whether you agree with it or not. But all the people that said it's a disgrace it's in Qatar, yeah, we want to pay you £1.3 million to come and host a show for us in Qatar. Oh, yeah, I'll book my flights now. I don't have time for that. You know what I mean? I had no issue with it being there in the first place. So there's no issue for me to go. I know a lot of people that slagged it off for 3 to 4 years and then went when sponsors came and offered them a chance to go. And I don't like to behave like that as best I can, you know. And yeah, that's it. This here from Honesty says, UEFA actually are thinking about keeping the Champions League the same, nor changing it. And it's funny how Florentino Perez is pushing for the Super League. Well, look,
yeah, but that's the thing, though. Keep the competition as is. As things stand, the Champions League is the most watched competition in the world. I think it has after the Premier League, or just as much as the Premier League. So that's the competition that makes the most money. We're all enjoying it. So it's not like any of us are bored anyway. Like, we're watching the Champions League actively. We're enjoying it. This season, Liverpool are not in the Champions League. Look at me as a football fan. Liverpool are not in the Champions League. My football club is not in the Champions League. I'm still doing Champions League watch-alongs. We're still watching games. We all watch Newcastle PSG. We all watched, Man United Copenhagen. We all watched Arsenal Sevilla, games like that. You always get games like this. Okay, we're going to sit up here. We're going to watch it. But my problem is, so UEFA came out. Oh, fuck the Super League. The Super League is the worst idea ever. And it's greed and it's money and it's blah, blah, blah. Okay, by the way, 2 years from now, we're going to have a 32 team thing where it's going to be 1 to 16 who qualify and then 16 to blah, blah, who play playoffs. It's going to be 2 extra games. Like, so you just made your own Super League, basically.
Of course, Real Madrid and these clubs are pushing for it, though, because what they're upset about is the TV money the Premier League clubs get. And it's a very much, they want to catch that up, of course.
Money.
Sean here says, you can engage in capitalism and oppose the model, Terry. False equivalence, Terry. No, that's exactly what I said. My claim was I can't be against capitalism. It was be against capitalism. I'm not against capitalism. I literally said that doesn't mean everybody within capitalism behaves correctly and I support them all. So it's exactly what I said there in different words to you, Sean. I have to wait and see the model before I assess it. Until we know what it looks like and its impact upon football, I can't give you an assessment as to whether it's good or bad. We may look at it and go, bloody hell, more money. More of that money is being pumped into the lower, the grassroots of football. There's less games for the players, but it's more exciting. Maybe they throw rules into it, like clubs can't participate with debt, which means if you're an owner and you want that money as a billionaire owner, you've got to pay the debt off. There could be loads of elements they bring in here that could get the best out of football. So for me, again, I'm not against it until I see the proposal. That's what I've said that's what I've said since the last time it came. Shane says, I'm not saying I'm against capitalism, but I still engage in capitalism is like everyone. That doesn't mean I support its system. So again, there are elements that, yes and no. Yes and no. There are elements of, I don't want to pay the Tory government taxes, but I have to. Some people don't like capitalism, but they have to buy their groceries, right? They have to. They might be able to grow some, but they have to go and buy their groceries. They might have to put fuel in their car. There are elements, as much as you oppose them, you have to participate in. But you don't need to come on to YouTube. You don't need to buy a pair of trainers from Nike in JD Sport in a shopping mall. So you don't need to invest your money in a hedge fund. There are certain elements of capitalism that you do not need to participate in. And my point is, I see people that moan about it as an entirety, but then participate in very voluntary elements, that very voluntarily that are not essential to their lives. That was my point there, my friend. You don't need to buy Starbucks. You don't need to eat McDonald's. Those things are not essential for life. So yeah, some parts are, some bits are not, mate. Super League will just kill off the domestic league if they are playing a first team and a midweek in Sydney and have a match on Saturday. Now, listen, but that's also true. If, for instance, you're playing games, you've got a game in Manchester on a Saturday and then Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday night you're playing in Sydney, Australia, I'm not going to support that. I'm not going to support it because it's going to. So that's my point. If what you've said happens, I don't think it will get universal support. I actually don't even know if the clubs will do it, even for the money. I don't know if they will.
It'll be too complicated.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to wait and see. So morality is in play now. Yeah, of course it is. Whether you stand by it or not will be your standing of morality. It always is.
You always say some twisted shit in the chat. You really
That's why he calls himself Twisted. Terry, are you morally invested in football? You'd have to categorize what you mean. Give me an example of what you mean, and then I can answer you that question. Pep here has said about the Super League. I'm not going to comment on that. We have time to reflect, and lawyers and the clubs will decide what we have to do. But that's you being smart, because if a manager comes out and says there's no way I'm managing in it, and then suddenly UEFA shuts down next week, what are you going to do?
Hey, we all know Pep is a bald checkbook fraud anyway. He's just going where the money is, so that ain't nothing new.
I get you, but not using a smartphone doesn't mean I'm not a real socialist. The same way being a capitalist doesn't mean you inherently support sweatshops. Yeah, to a degree. Depends on what you say and what you do and how you behave. If you're someone that campaigns against smartphones and says that they're built through slavery, but then you're walking around with a brand new one every 18 months, I would question how much you care. I really would. So yeah. Anyway, we
I ran a campaign, an anti-smoking campaign in my high school. I stopped, no exaggeration, about 30-40 kids from smoking, and then I started smoking myself. So that was one of the most embarrassing things. A year later, they're saying me like, "Oh, Husam, you used to stop us from smoking. What happened?" Like, hey kids, don't smoke. I fell into the trap.
Big game this weekend. Big game. But before we get onto it, I want to ask you a question first. Before we get onto the actual game, my question for you is Mo Salah, like according to Craig from the Anfield Agenda and Mr. Lee Gunner from here from Straight Facts, is he finished and should he be sold?
First of all, I will preface my statement, and if you want to clip this up, Terry, make sure you put this up so we get the whole context, because I don't want them indirecting me like other people on streams. Listen, all I want to say is I have no problem with Craig. Craig actually invited me to a couple of shows as well, because we're both FSG out in the summer. I've got no problem with Lee Gunner. Me and him speak every now and then. You know, I am someone who views his content as well on his channel and the Straight Facts show. But Lee Gunner and Craig are both so full of shit, it stinks. First of all, Lee Gunner, let me just address Lee Gunner first, because Craig, first of all, Lee Gunner, you know, there's something that pisses me off, Terry, and I'm gonna go into a rant here. So I'm just saying it as it is. You know what pisses me off? There's always buzzwords in football. Every 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months, there's a new buzzword in football. 6 months ago, the buzzword was amortization. That was the buzzword 6 months ago. The new buzzword is now standard. Standards, Terry. I've got standards for my club. Terry. Terry played the clip and he's like, Lee, what do you think of what Craig said? Lee's first word response was, standards. He's got standard for his club. Mo Salah's been the gold standard in the Premier League for the last 5 years. What the fuck are you waffling about? If you ask any Premier League fan right now who's not being biased, who are the best 2 players in the league over the last 5, 6 years, the answer is KDB and Mo Salah. That's the argument. Everyone here knows that. Everyone knows that. Hey guys, who's been the best Premier League player last 5, 6 months? 5, 6 years. Mo Salah, KDB. I'm looking at Liverpool Football Club this season, so it's funny Lee mentioned standards. Let's talk standards. Luis Diaz got 3 goals in 16 games. Cody Gakpo got 2 goals in 15 games. Darwin Núñez got 4 goals in 15 games. Jota got 4 goals in 12 games. Mo Salah is the problem, though. Mo Salah is the guy I should have sold. Mo Salah, it's standards, Terry. Standards, Terry. The problem is the standard. I want to keep the standard to my club. Mo Salah right now, as things stand, second highest top goal scorer in the Premier League, most assists in the Premier League, most big chances created in the Premier League. Chances created could be a Fugazi stat because all it takes is the pass. So if Salah passes someone and he shoots, that counts as a chance created. Big chances created is where you lay it on a plate for someone. Mo Salah, as things stand, have the most big chances created in the entirety of the Premier League. And if your point is Mo Salah doesn't dribble past people like he does 5, 6 years ago, you know where the problem lies from a Liverpool fan, because you guys don't watch my club like I do week in, week out. Luis Diaz is not getting past his fullback week in, week out. Gakpo is not dribbling past his player week in, week out. Darwin Núñez is not dribbling past his player week in, week out. Jota is not dribbling past his players week in, week out. You know what separates great players? Consistency and adaptation as they get older. Cristiano Ronaldo fully just became a striker when he got older. And he managed to maintain his career because of all the off-the-pitch stuff, of course. But he changed the way he played. He had to adapt. It's no longer a pace and power thing. Unbelievable great players will always adapt. Mo Salah's like, okay, If I want to play till I'm 35, 36, what have I got to do? I've got to improve my technical ability. I've got to improve my playmaking skills. So it's crystal clear. If you're a Liverpool fan watching Mo Salah and you're denying this, you're just in denial. Mo Salah has went back, worked on his craft, came back, much better passer, much better playmaker, much better creatively. In the final third, anytime he gets the ball, Nunez is making a run, Diaz is making a run, Gakpo is making a run, someone's making a run because they know Salah will try find them. These are all the things that we're talking about. And when you look at words, buzzwords like standard, they keep shoving it in your face. Okay, but this guy's the golden standard. So what the fuck are we talking about over here? And the problem I have with this whole conversation is Craig coming out and saying, sell him. Okay, let's sell Mo Salah. Let's now act like, Liverpool Football Club, sell Mo Salah tomorrow. Terry done a reaction video. In his reaction video, he said, okay, if they want to sell Mo Salah, they need to get someone off his level or upgrade on him. Okay, let's look around the entire continent. Let's look around the whole world. Who's on Mo Salah's level or an upgrade on him on the whole world? The one answer where everyone will agree is Kylian Mbappe. Are Liverpool going to sign Kylian Mbappe? No. Why the fuck should I sell Mo Salah then? Why should I sell Mo Salah? Who's going to be the Mo Salah replacement? Jared Bowen. Will Jared Bowen be able to do 1/5 of what Mo Salah is doing at Liverpool Football Club right now, just from a creative perspective? Absolutely not. What I ask of people is, when you watch football, stop using standards as a buzzword to slander players because they don't look aesthetically pleasing. And this is my final statement on that whole thing. He said, eye tests don't lie. No, eye test lies. Because an eye test will tell you Hatem Ben Arfa is better than Ryan Giggs. I dare anyone deny it right now. Eye test. If we're going straight to eye test, Hatem Ben Arfa. Unbelievable player. Because if I give you a Giggs comp or a Hatem Ben Arfa comp, which one are you going to drop your jaw more for? Hatem Ben Arfa. If I give you an Adel Tarabt comp or a Frank Lampard comp, which one is your jaw going to drop more for? Adel Tarabt. But you know what separates Michu from Harry Kane? Michu done it for 1 year. Harry Kane done it for 10 years. That's what separates them. So when Lee uses the word standards as a buzzword response to everything, yeah, but Mo Salah is the standard. He's the gold standard. And every time you look into any statistical category, he's up there. And if I give you eye test examples without mentioning statistics, against Man United, first half, he played like shit. Got no problem saying it. Second half, creates the most dangerous chance. Plays the layoff to Trent in which he has that shot. Now, Lee's response would be that layoff. Anyone can do that. But if you're watching Liverpool, Nunez ain't doing that. Gakpo ain't doing that. Jota ain't doing that. And Diaz ain't doing that. So who's doing that for me other than Mo? So this is what I hate. One game, Liverpool against Man United. People have watched. Mo Salah does not score. Liverpool don't win. It's unexpected. Let's all attack Mo Salah, the one guy that's been delivering for us consistently, not only season in, season out, but from the start of the season. So let's have some shame and let's stop using buzzwords like standard for every single thing that happens on the football pitch when someone's the gold standard for football players in this entire league.
What the funniest bit about what Craig said for me was after the end of that rant, saying he's done and a finish and a wash player, they're selling for £150 million. And that was the bit for me. Well, if you think you can get how many 150, 200 million pound players are actually in the world? But the standard point you make is so true. And it's because it's a way of shutting down an argument without actually having an argument. See, well, I've just got high standards. The problem is with any of these opinions about standards, and I've been thinking about this I thought about this last night. I was sitting there just thinking about it. I'm going like, stretch it out across football. So I understand when a Man United fan will say the standard of my club based on our history and what we spend, I expect X. That makes sense. But you can't apply that same standard to Luton. But yet the people that talk about standards, because they all tweet the same stuff now, bruv. They in fact, they all tweet the same swear words. They all their tweets could all, if you were to read their tweets out, you wouldn't know which one's tweeting it. They're almost like a hive mind. But the problem you've got is this. Let's say every club gets a billionaire owner, and they all want to act with the standards of Man City. How many Haalands are there in the world?
Probably 3 or 4 max.
Okay. How many Rodris are there in the world?
Same. In every position, you could probably say 3, 4 max of the elites.
So how can 20 teams have the same standards of players?
Impossible.
So the point is, even if everybody starts spending more money, increasing their wage bill and going after the best players in the world, there is still going to be a team that comes 20th. You can't change that fact. Even if they all applied your standards at exactly the same time, someone's coming last. The fact is, there isn't even enough players in the world to apply that standard to every club in the world. There's not how many managers in the world genuinely, could win back-to-back Premier League or back-to-back Champions League? How many could actually do it? 1 or 2 in the world?
Yeah, max 3 if you include that.
How many managers out there in the world right now genuinely do you think are good enough to manage a team to win the Premier League? If all the other best managers are in the Premier League,
3, 4 max.
3 or 4. So by that logic of standards, it means everyone's going to have a other than 3 or 4 clubs. Everyone else is going to have a quote unquote substandard manager versus the best in class right now. I understand standards. I understand the standard of Anthony isn't good enough for Man United. And it's been revealed by The Athletic that the scouts pleaded with the board to not spend more than £25 million on him. They said that's all he's worth. And actually, you look at Anthony as a player, in 2023, he is a £25 million player. That's not a lot of money in the modern day game, right? That's a standard. That is awful standards to have at a club that we've signed him for £85 million. But looking at Mbappe and saying, if we don't sign a player of Mbappe's level, I'm not happy with the standards of my club, you're a bloody idiot. Because there's only one Mbappe in the world. You can't sign more than one. So I do get it as an argument. But sometimes you have to look at it as, well, who can you bring in to replace Salah? Who's going to score his goal? Do you know what? If you had 2 or 3, if Darwin and Luis Diaz were killing it, then I would understand it. Because there's people to pick up the mantle. But if Mo Salah leaves, you guys are I don't think there is someone that's going to pick up the slack on that right now. I don't know who there is. So, yeah, I don't like the standards argument.
Yeah, but once again, when you use the word standard, minimum requirement when you use a word is you use it properly, is you use it for its real meaning. 2 days ago, I learned the new word vehemently. If I want to use vehemently in a statement, I need to know
vehemently.
Vehemently is American pronunciation versus British pronunciation.
Yeah.
You know, so I learned this word. If I want to use it now, I need to understand its meaning, how it's used in context. So when I say the word standard, and this is my problem with Lee's argument, he has standards for his club, mate. That's his response directly. Okay, so isn't Mo Salah the gold standard for forwards in the world right now? Name one club in the entirety of this planet that Mo Salah does not start for. There isn't. Manchester City, they're treble winners, right? Mo Salah starts for them. PSG, Mo Salah starts for them. Real Madrid,
you're absolutely right.
But let me just say one
statement.
The reason why you're 100% right on the replacement stuff and this links back to the standard argument. Okay, so let's say once again, this becomes the argument now. Lee is right. Let's assume in a crazy world, we're all on Jupiter and Lee's 100% right. We sell Mo Salah tomorrow. Is my football club the type of football club that signs a Kylian Mbappe? The answer is no. So why the fuck would I sell the gold standard of the football club while I've got copper, I've got brass, I've got steel, I've got all these guys, but I'm going to look at the gold standard guy and he's the guy I've got to sell. This is where I have a problem.
This is what I'm going to say about it. Now, it turns out that Craig has apologized and said he hasn't got a filter and, he didn't really mean it. And I understand that, and that will happen to fans. Lee doesn't like Mo Salah, so this is the perfect opportunity to jump on that. I think the standards argument holds water for specific examples of particular clubs at a set moment in time, in a vacuum, if you will. The ideas of the word standard being an argument being used across every single club, and the only frame that the only lens or framing that you can look at a situation through is wrong. Because what you are doing is you're essentially removing, just bring it to the Premier League only. You're removing all the other 19 clubs from your assessment. You're removing all the other managers from your assessment, players from your assessment. So you have to take into consideration everything before you look at standards, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm someone who's getting a little bit bored with, and not so much Lee, because I love the duels I have with him. I've just seen loads of people say it now. So you'll challenge someone's point, they just say, I've got standards. That's not an argument. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Break your argument down. Make me get why you think X, Y, and Z without saying because I've got standards. explain those standards and how you think it works. And then maybe there's a point behind it. But just saying I've got standards is not an argument in itself for me. So no, I totally agree. In terms of the game this weekend, bro, it's a big one. It's a big one tomorrow night. It really, really is a big one. How do you personally see this going?
I mean, first of all, if Mo Salah scores twice and we win, I'm inviting myself on the Straight Facts show with Lee this Monday because I'm going to cook the shit out of him.
Tuesday.
I'm going to cook the shit out of him. Here's the thing. First of all, Arsenal fans are getting too giddy. You guys need to relax. This is Anfield, where you bottled the league last season. This is not me doing a villain turn on Arsenal or anything. I'm just saying you guys are just. I'm seeing people say 4-1s, 3-1s. I'm saying people get too excited, too excited about this game. This is literally where you bottled the league last season. The year before, it was Arteta who pissed off Anfield. Last year, it was Granit Xhaka who pissed off Anfield. So Arsenal fans just need to relax and chill. Ain't no 3-1, ain't no 4-1. Respectfully, you ain't going away to Chelsea. You ain't going to any of these clubs. You're going to Liverpool. You're coming to Anfield. You ain't won a game there since 2012 for good reason. Liverpool are in second place for good reason. This is first versus second. The reason why this game is massive is because it's first versus second. Because Liverpool and Arsenal aren't rivals. So Liverpool versus Arsenal is not some sort of historical rivalry or anything, but it's first versus second. So it's an important game. It's a massive game. And you're going away. So what you can't do is come up here and be giddy. Also, what you cannot do is use the Manchester United game as a measuring stick. Because I feel like if I spoke to the Arsenal fans a month ago and told them about the Anfield game, they'd be like, oh, I'm really worried about Anfield. That's one game that really worries me. And now they're like, after watching Man United, they're like, oh, we're going to batter Liverpool. Like, no, you're not going to batter Liverpool. There's people saying 4-1, 3-1. No, it's not going to be 4-1, 3-1. There are people who are giving high-scoring games as well. Who's going to score the goals? Saka and Salah, the only two people keeping standards, because Martinelli and Lee Gunner's favorite player, Trossard, have been playing like shit. And Nketiah's playing like shit. So Saka's really the only one scoring goals for Arsenal. And it's been, many of them have been penalties as well. So I don't know where you can get 3 goals from. I think this game, if I'm being honest, is going to be very tactical. It's going to be very defensive. 2 months from now, if you asked me, I would have told you this game is going to be attack versus defense. This game now, as things stand, is actually defense versus defense. I think both defenses are actually both teams' strengths. Liverpool right now, as things stand, are like defensively very solid, very sound. Kept a clean sheet, I believe, in the last 3 or 4 games. Sometimes the goals have dried up a little bit, but it's just the defense has been pulling through. Van Dijk, best defender in the league, in my opinion, this season. Saliba's second, but Van Dijk is number 1. Both defenses have conceded exactly the same amount of goals. Liverpool only have 1 more goal than Arsenal. So this is going to be a very tight game. And if I'm Mikel Arteta, I'm pulling up every player and I'm saying, do not piss off Anfield. Do not intimidate Anfield. Do not get into a fight with the crowd because you will lose. Because we've done this mistake twice in a row. You will lose. Don't fuck with Anfield. This is one club you can never fuck with their stadium. Never fuck with Anfield. Leave Anfield alone. So if someone pisses you off, leave them alone. If someone irritates you, leave them alone. Just run back, do all of this. So this is a game that is between 2 clubs, where there's massive respect there. It's not really, we aren't real rivals. It's 2 big clubs, playing each other. And this should be a great tactical game. If you're a neutral, you're going to watch a very high quality, high caliber game, but it will not be high scoring. This is going to be a game in which both clubs will be a bit more reserved and compact. So I will back my club to get the win this weekend. But if I'm being logical completely and just putting all emotions to the side, I think this game, it just smells of a 1-1 draw. It just smells like, if you just smell it in the air, 1-1 draw. You could just tell, like, 1 half, one team scores, the other half, the other team scores. This is the type of game where, like, maybe it'll be separated by a set piece, something like that. But yeah, that's what I think for this game. Even when in the combined 11, I did with Troops, big up Troops, I put 5 Liverpool players, 6 Arsenal players. So even from that angle, it's a bit even closer a little bit.
So you think there's a good chance here that Arsenal stop Liverpool from winning in this game? It's interesting. Husam thinks Arsenal are the favourites at Anfield, according to Judge Mo here.
Yeah, they're top of the league. By definition, they're favourites. If you're top of the league, the pressure's on you. It's not on me.
There's no way you believe that.
Arsenal are favourites. Liverpool are the
You are chatting absolute cap. You don't
I'm
believe
not.
that in a
Liverpool
no,
are the
you
underdogs.
don't believe that.
I
You
do. Liverpool
don't
are the
believe
underdogs.
it.
Arsenal are top of the league. Arsenal are top of the league. Liverpool are the underdogs.
You don't believe that.
I do. I do. Liverpool are
You
the
are
underdogs.
capping.
If we
Last
do
week
get
you
a
spoke
victory, it's going to be an underdog victory, 100%. Given our injuries, given who we're playing against.
underdog victory. They've got as many
Listen,
injuries
this is
as
Europa
you.
League Liverpool taking on Champions League Arsenal. Simple. We're in the Europa right now. We're in second place. Arsenal are first. You know, we've got players out. Our best midfielder, McAllister, is out. Gravenberg could be is injured. Jota, who actually scores against Arsenal always, is also out. We ain't got Robertson. So, Arsenal are favorites 100%. And listen, they have to deliver. So it's just as simple as that. So they're favorites and we're underdogs. We're underdogs.
Wow. Listen, I know what you're doing. You're playing. Last week you did the whole, if we don't win 4-0, it's embarrassing. We're going to win 6. You're going for the opposite flavor this week, playing it down. There's no way you believe that.
They're top of the league, are they not? Are they not top of the league? Do they not
So
have the best midfielder in the league? Do
So
they not
Ars-
have, by their fans' perspective, the
Yeah.
best centre back in the league? Do they not have the best midfield in the league? One of
So
the
do
best
you,
stands in
do,
the
you,
league.
do you believe it though? Do you believe it? Do you believe that Arsenal have Saliba's better than Van Dijk?
Arsenal
You
are
believe that?
favorites. Arsenal are favorites.
You
100%.
believe
We're
that
underdogs.
Saliba? You believe that Saliba is better than Virgil van Dijk?
No, fuck that. Of course, Van Dijk's better.
You believe their midfield is better than yours?
Yes, 100%. That one I won't even argue.
Is their attack better than yours? Is their attack better than yours?
Our attack, both our attacks are not good enough this season, other than Saka and Salah. To be honest,
Is their attack better than yours?
I don't know because it's 2 players each. It's 1 player each. It's literally no, but Terry, it's literally Saka and Salah. Martinelli has 2 goals in 15. That's our Luis Diaz. Jesus has just come back from injury. He only has 2 goals in like 10 games. That's our Darwin Núñez. That's our Cody Gakpo. So this is the reality. Like our attacks are banging.
Checking. I just think you're trying to do a little bit of reverse psychology here. But I think
I'm
you're
not doing any reverse psychology. Listen, last week
I've been in this game, brother. I've been in this game too long. I've been in this game too long.
Me for the result, I'm not. All I'm gonna say is, listen, Arsenal are favorites because they're top of the league. Had we been top of the league, we'd be favorites. So simple as Arsenal are favorites. We're the underdogs. Liverpool are in the Europa League. We play on Thursday night. So
I just want to see if you can answer. I want you to answer this straight face for me. Your belief is that this Arsenal team is that superior to Liverpool that they come to Anfield and are the first team in 6 years to be the favourites at Anfield to win a game. They're that good in your opinion, Arsenal. They scare you that much.
Switch up the argument. You should be a yoga instructor sometimes. The way you switch up, you just stretch the fuck out of my favorite.
Hang on. No.
No, because your question is wrong. No, your question is wrong. Were City not favourites at Anfield last season? Be honest, right now.
I don't know. I never make City favourites at Anfield.
No, it's not whether you make it. In reality, were they not favourites?
Okay. So let me do it. Last season, potentially, because you weren't as good as you were this year. But we're judging you on how good you've been this year, okay? Against a team that haven't beat you at Anfield for 11 years. You're now sitting here not only saying, do I think Arsenal will win? You're saying they're the favourites. So for a team to be the favourites, by the way, Man City are the best team in the world. So if you're now saying Arsenal are favourites to beat you, how good are you saying? How scary and good are you saying Arsenal are?
Man City are not the best team in the world. Arsenal are. They're top of the league and they're top of their Champions League group. Listen, it's the reality, Terry. It's the reality. They have the strongest defense in the league. You know, they
do. They do. So you believe Arsenal are the best team in the world right now?
Yes, Arsenal are the best team in the world. So we're underdogs. And by the way, I'm not saying Arsenal are massive favorites. It's 55-45. 55-45 to Arsenal. 100% they're the favorites. They're top of the league. Why the table? You all told me the table doesn't lie. They're top of the league. So it's not massive favorites. It's 55-45. Underdog. If we win, tomorrow it's going to be an underdog victory. Pray for us. We're the underdogs, man. We're the underdogs. You guys think I'm joking. They're top of the league. I'm laughing just because Terry's laughing. They're top of the league. They topped their Champions League group. The table doesn't lie. So yeah. We're underdogs.
No one believes you. No one. There is not a soul on planet Earth. How is it not haram to lie?
Listen, I'm not lying. What makes you think I'm lying? I'm not lying. I'm not lying.
No,
you believe I'm lying. I'm not lying.
You're being slightly facetious. Is that what you're doing?
So Man United, who are fucking shit, got a draw at Anfield. Yet I cannot claim the team that top of the league is favorites. It's insane. It's
No, you don't
insane now
believe it.
getting accused of lying.
You can claim it. You can claim it, but we can all tell you, bruv, you're like a big troll under a bridge. Do you know what I'm saying? We know.
I'm not trolling though. It's 55-45. I didn't say anything mad. If I said 80-20, I'm being fraudulent. But it's 55-45. So it's still
I never thought I'd see the day where the Don Husam, my brother Husam, sits on the football terrace and says Arsenal are the best team in the world and they are better than Liverpool, and they're making us the underdogs in our own backyard. I never thought I'd see this day.
So
you are
6
that
months ago,
scared of Liverpool.
Was I not the only straight facts guy that predicted Arsenal to win the league? Yes or no? Be honest now. You be honest. Yes or no? Name one other straight facts guy that said Arsenal will win the league. They all said City, right?
Yeah, no. I hear you. No, you're right. I get that. But my point is, I listen. I've been saying for a while now that Arsenal was scary.
Yes.
I didn't think that. I never thought that the Don Husam would be scared of Arsenal. I never see it coming to you. I always thought you'd be. You know, I know you're trying to. I know you're like dating at the minute. Maybe are you trying to show your softer side to your potential wife? I don't know. What is this, Husam? What is this? What is this? Where's your chest gone, Chewbacca? Where's it gone?
My chest is there. You get, first of all, it's not Chewbacca because my beard's fixed now. So
no. Chewbacca, as in you got no chest, you got two backs. Chewbacca, not Chewbacca. Chewbacca.
Listen, I back my club. If you tell me predict, I'll say 1-1 or 2-1 Liverpool. But at the end of the day, they are top of the league. They've got the strongest defense in the league. They're in the Champions League. They just had a record signing who's the best midfielder in the league this season, who's going to be coming up against Endo and Curtis Jones. So I apologize for thinking that my club with forwards who ain't scored goals in 10 games is not the favorite against league leaders, Champions League football club, Arsenal Football Club. So yeah, it's just me being honest. I'm not being facetious. I'm not showing my softer side, you know, and I'm not dating. Big up all the women in the chat. I'm not dating. Let me reach out.
No, maybe not. Maybe you're not. But look, I'm just saying, you don't believe that. Look, I think Arsenal can beat you at home. I think there's a genuine chance that they could beat you, but I still think Liverpool's still the favourites. You're the favourites against every team in the world at home, in my opinion. You're always the favourites.
So Terry, let me say this about Mr. Terry over here. So Terry has done so many videos titled "Arsenal are scary," but when someone comes on his channel and says Arsenal are scary, he's going like, "What the hell just happened?" So when someone agrees with you,
because I don't believe you personally.
So Arsenal are coming to Anfield. They're top of the league. Okay, here I'll say it straight face. They're top of the league. They've got the strongest defense in the league. Record signing this summer, who's the best midfielder in the league. They tell me Saliba is the best centre back in the world right now. Why the fuck are they not favorites then? Man United just got a draw at Anfield.
Because the difference is this: Man United, you know why, and you've spoken about this many times. You know that generally that 7-0 against us the other year was an anomaly. You know that typically speaking, when Man United and Liverpool play each other, no matter how good we are or you are, or how bad we are or bad you've been in the last 20, 30 years, it's the biggest derby in the country. It's one of the biggest games in the world, and it often becomes a leveler. You know that isn't a barometer to measure the direction that Liverpool are going to go in. I've played Liverpool before when you guys have been getting battered in mid-table. I've gone, we've got a chance at Anfield. We go there and you slap us 3-0. It's a different kettle of fish for me. I don't think you can assess it in the same way at all, personally. I don't think you can.
I hear what you're saying, but it's a reason why it's the most difficult fixture this whole season. You asked me before the Etihad game when people were saying, "Oh my God, City are gonna win." I said, "No, we're gonna get a draw," and we got a draw. And I recognize when there's weaknesses. I look at this Arsenal side right now, and there's no weaknesses in their team other than maybe them not being able to score a goal. Like Arsenal's biggest enemy is their forward line. Their own forward line is their biggest enemy. You know the problem? My biggest enemy is also my forward line. So I'm looking at this midfield. You think I'm joking? I'm looking at this midfield. This Saturday, our starting midfield three could be Endo, Curtis Jones, and Szoboszlai against Declan Rice, Odegaard, and an informed Havertz. So I'm not crazy to say this is going to be a tough game. And Havertz usually does well against us as well. By the way, Havertz is one of the players who does well against us too. So
well, I've got a little feeling. I do have a feeling that Havertz might be the guy that wins the game for Arsenal. Just a
Yeah,
little gut feeling.
So I say Arsenal are favourites, and you're predicting an Arsenal win. Yet I'm the crazy
I didn't. But I don't believe you. What I believe in what you, it's a different. I just don't. I don't believe what you're saying. Doesn't mean I don't think what you're saying might not be right.
You know it deep down. You know deep down.
No, I don't think you're the underdogs. I don't.
Only but if I said 55-45 underdog, would that make you feel better about my statement?
Not really, because I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I just don't believe you. That's what it comes down to, my bro.
Yeah, we're underdogs.
I don't believe you. We've got some super chats here. First one says, I see what you are doing, Husam, saying Arsenal favourites, and when Liverpool win, you say Liverpool are the best. We didn't win there for like 11 years. Liverpool fans did this when there was an idea and a thought that Liverpool might catch Man City when Man City were really good a few years ago. They still are really good. Liverpool fans all started universally saying at the same time, Man City are not just the best team in the world, they're the greatest team ever. And it was all done as a precursor, so that if Liverpool overtook them and maintained it, they could say, they were the best team ever, we overtook them, we're the best team ever. It was so transparent and obvious. It just wasn't done very well. This here says, United never opened up. Arsenal will open up at Anfield, and that will be their downfall for sure. If Arsenal score 2, Liverpool will score 4.
Okay, let me ask Ninot Pal a question, because he's one of my guys, one of my super chatters as well. Big up to him and big up to supporting the Terrace. Now the question becomes, who's going to score the 4 goals for Liverpool? Are they all going to get scored by Mo Salah? Or is it going to be Núñez, who got 0 goals in 10? Or is it going to be Gakpo, who got 2 goals in 15? Or is it going to be Diaz, who can't even get past Kufal or Sufal, or however the fuck it's pronounced for West Ham? Who's going to score 4 goals for me? Wake up, Ninot Pal. This ain't Arsenal from late Wenger era or Unai Emery. This is a tough Arsenal. So people saying 4-2 and shit, not gonna happen. So you need to relax. Even if Arsenal open up, respectfully, they got Saliba at the back. So
interestingly, right? That wasn't me shushing you. I was just itching my lip. I just saw myself in the camera. It looked like I was shushing you. I'm not. I wouldn't do it that way. I'd just say shut up. I would have been like, but Rory talks football on the golden goals predictions. Predicted 4-2 Arsenal. Tom Little has predicted 8-2 to Liverpool.
Remember on the top 6 show when I said me coming off for Tom Little is the worst substitution in Terrace history? Now you see why. That's why he's the Iago aspect of the Liverpool fans. Tom Little is my guy. We even do a weekly show called Husam X Tom Little, but he's the biggest fraud because he was literally Klopp out 3 months ago. So listen, Tom Little is a fraud.
I can't believe it. Don't believe
people, by the way, people putting up massive score lines. I don't know what you're thinking headed into this game, because massive score lines require players who would score lots of goals. Like, who's going to score lots of goals? Also, I'm not lying, LCN, you fraud.
The Robert here says the mind games from Husam to not upset the football gods. Liverpool 4, Arsenal 1. Ain't that right, Husam? Brah, be honest. I know Liverpool will thrash us.
Tell you right now, I don't believe in the football gods. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that whatsoever. And the proof in the pudding is last week I said 6-0 to Liverpool. I don't believe in that stuff at all. I'm just giving my honest opinion. Arsenal are favourites. They're top of the league. They've got the strongest defense in the league. They've got the best midfielder in the league. Their midfield walks all over our midfield, so they're favourites. Tomorrow, if we get a win, we're going to get an underdog win. This is just the reality.
There we go. Why no Christmas decorations in the studio? I just never thought about doing it, to be honest. Like, in every other element of my life, I'm very much Christmased out. I just haven't done it here, but fair enough. Yeah, that's a good shout. We're going to come back to some other super chats in a minute from earlier that I actually missed. Husam is doing the mind games like Klopp.
Not doing any mind games. Listen, what I say on the football terrace does not affect Mo Salah or Alisson's performance this Saturday. It got nothing to do with it.
I was never confident against United, but against Arsenal, I am confident that Arsenal will get spanked 100%. What's this space? Is what Nilotpal. Is that Nilotpal?
Nilotpal. Big up to you, Nilotpal.
Yeah, it said there. I tried to pronounce that. It's decent for me. Villa and Tottenham win. Liverpool, West Ham, Wolves will lose. I hope. That would be a brilliant weekend for me. That would be a brilliant. My biggest rivals in Liverpool losing. Oh no, it wouldn't be. That means West Ham. No, yeah, it means Man United win. It means Chelsea winning is pretty good. It's good for the channel. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that as a weekend. Really, Man United winning and Liverpool losing is all I really
Never
meant.
trust a Barca fan. You're still upset about the 4-0, Habibi?
Akil here says 11 goals and 7 assists is finished. Then Saka is finished before he's even started. Despite age, he may not run the show, but he will always get the outputs. Always. This is
100%. And by the way, right now, people are saying like, oh, Jared Bowen's an unbelievable winger. Bukayo Saka's an unbelievable winger. This guy's an unbelievable winger. Standards, Terry. Yeah, they're all below the gold standard. So like, this is the thing. This is my argument earlier on.
This here says they have asked Klopp his opinion on rejecting the Super League. He said, great decision. And also what happens if a club qualify for the Champions League? Yeah, we don't have the answers to any of that yet. And I expect Klopp to stand by it. Squads will be huge if we play in the Super League and domestic. Maybe Chelsea knew what was coming. Love you, Husam, but not tomorrow. Come on, you gooners. This is also about Super League. So Super League will have 3 divisions of 16 teams in it each. Again, I'm going to wait for the official proposal to come out. I'm going to read through it, and then I'll give a thorough opinion on what I think. Response to Husam: goal scorers for Liverpool. Choose any 4: Salah, Gakpo, Nunez, Szoboszlai, Trent, VVD, Endo, and Diaz.
Endo, Diaz, Gakpo, Nunez, and Szoboszlai have 0 chance of scoring in tomorrow's game. Trent has a chance from a long shot because Raya has a mistake in him. Mo Salah is the gold standard. Virgil van Dijk maybe from a set piece. That's the only 3 I would agree with you. The rest of them, they have no chance of scoring tomorrow. No chance.
Bill Bowley needs to spend more for relegation, is what Blackbeard here has got to say. Arsenal fans saying we're completely unsustainable, yet had not been for Spurs, would be 35-point games plus undefeated. Arsenal fans extra cocky.
Yeah, they are getting cocky. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be, as much as they are favorite, it is going to be a very tactical game. Like this is not a game where we're sitting up here and go 4-3 and blah blah blah. This ain't gonna be that type of game. This is a completely different game. This is actually the 2 strongest defenses in the league for a reason. So yeah.
No, I agree with you. The right system and setup, Liverpool can win. Darwin on the left wing. Is that where you want to see Darwin on the left wing?
Like that. Can I ask you a question, Terry? Please keep the super chat up on the screen. If I take one player out of the starting 11 and put in another player, does that mean the system changed?
No, just personnel.
You know, it's just because Mike's one of the ones who blamed the system the whole time for the Liverpool United game. No individual responsibility, accountability for the players. But I do agree with him on Darwin left wing, though. Darwin is so much better left wing. I need Diaz on the bench. The reason why I'm less confident is I saw the graphic for the game and Diaz is on it, which means Diaz starts, which I do not like because Diaz has been considerably our worst forward this whole year. I'd sell him tomorrow if given the opportunity.
Queen here says, I think Arsenal will give us a hard test, but if the Anfield crowd is up on their feet, then Liverpool will do well.
And by the way, Klopp was 100% right to call out the Anfield crowd because the atmosphere was dreadful against Man United. Absolutely dreadful.
Is Klopp scared?
No. Klopp's not scared. He's just calling out the crowd because
scared of Arsenal.
First of all, there's not an ASMR channel.
Little bit.
Why are you doing ASMR right now? Get some pickles. You know the girl who eats the pickles.
A little bit scared. A little bit.
No. But we do need Anfield. Listen, the Anfield atmosphere is definitely a plus. 100%. It's a thing that helps us beat teams. Arsenal, no. Ask them 6 months ago. They were 2-0 up, and then it became 2-2 just because of that. So, yeah, the Anfield atmosphere matters. The atmosphere was a little bit dead against Man United. First 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 minutes, it was really good. Anfield was buzzing. I still remember when the game started, like 13 seconds into the game, we got a corner already. I'm like, okay, here we go. But yeah, this is the thing. At the end of the day, the Anfield atmosphere will always help us beat teams. This is the reality.
True. I think it will be a draw, 1-1.
That's my brain prediction too. My heart says 2-1 to Liverpool. My brain says 1-1. But Robert, it's interesting. You called me a fraud. So if you're not favorites by definition, you're going away to us, and you're still going to get a draw. You see why you're all been exposed as frauds? I told you Arsenal favorites, and your position is proven.
Look, I want to thank everybody that has tuned into the show today. Husam, always a pleasure to speak football with you on a Friday afternoon. We're back tomorrow with multiple match reactions throughout the course of the day on Christmas Eve, as me and my family like to call it. Make sure like buttons are hit before you leave. Give it a smash. If you have only 600 people done it so far, what you're doing is get it up to 1,000 likes, people. Let's get that done right now. To all of my super chatters, you know how amazing you are. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.